She is.
It's hard to tell
I
sometimes.
know. It is.
Well, yeah, she is.
I couldn't believe it'd been 2 years.
Okay.
at this.
All right. Well, whenever y'all speak, you'll need to go over there to that podium.
No more than
Yeah,
a year
but-
ago. Discuss this.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, I'll put up. I mean, they've got all of the stuff that Debbie submitted. Yeah, they've got all the pictures,
Oh
all
no.
that. And I
Get
can
over
put
it.
any of that up if you want. She knew and knows that we can't, the staff can't support this request. But I told her you can go ahead and ask.
Okay.
We
We're
don't,
almost there.
it's not anything that we're
Yeah, we have 5.
not
So we're
concerned
good.
about. It's just that
I guess it's all
it's
Texas.
high rise.
What do you do?
Our view is that they should just have the name of the building. But and she knows that.
I retired.
Because this came before the board
I
a
met,
couple of years ago when
I
Duraline.
want to say the director of nursing.
Okay.
Director? Yes,
Yeah,
that's right, yeah.
it's a little bit different
I said,
request.
you know Marty?
At that point, that time, it was signs on the.
I wasn't sure.
Now you're there
She
one.
did. And I couldn't
Two
remember
on
what
the
she
front,
said
one
you
on
did, and I
the
thought,
side. That is a little bit different, so, but,
and you all are getting ready, you're gonna go in a new direction with that, aren't you? What are you they're not.
Well, we
Absolutely. And my question,
Yeah, because that's a big thing. You just can't get paid. That's part of it. It's now a big push of the conference. A lot of vendors and people taking.
oh, I've got
As a
another.
matter of fact, I hope y'all had a vendor booth. You have a vendor booth? Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I heard that somewhere.
Okay.
I still keep up with all of it, even though
This one,
I don't actively participate.
this,
Okay.
she could spread it out, this, there, and then this.
Retired from that, I started working for the state corporate.
Is it court?
Because the one over at Hardin Valley is
Is it
full
court?
too.
I want to ask that specifically there.
That's important
Because,
too.
you know,
Yeah.
if not, that would be a lot
important to
larger.
do.
Yeah, first time I've ever, worked just for fun. But I will say, I loved my career for all the years.
Because
It
the-
served me well, and
hey,
I'm glad.
Because I was like, no, it's just,
Hi, how are you?
okay, this is,
I'm still trying to figure out the sign.
All right.
wait a minute.
Well, Linda's here. That means we can start.
Right.
It was too small as a reason. Can you erase?
Oh, it's down. I don't.
All right. It's 7 o'clock, so we'll get started with this month's meeting of the Visual Resources Review Board for March 2014. First thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the February 24th meeting. Any discussion on the minutes for February 24th? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The next item, we had just a few wall signs that were approved between our last meeting and this one. Raymond James, Marathon Oil, and Planet Beach. Any comments or questions about those? Or is there anything in particular we need to talk about, Mark?
not that I have anything on, unless anyone has a question about any.
Okay, well then we'll move forward to the ground-mounted sign applications. Well, looks like we have 3 or 4 here this time. Is there anyone here representing Goddard School? No? How about Marathon Oil? Costco? Okay. Everybody's here for the ordinance amendment? We figured it out.
Oh,
Well, how about for, since you're all here for that, we'll skip forward and take that one first. And we'll go ahead and have a discussion on that. So, this is a sign ordinance amendment. And I guess, Mark, you have some information for us?
Yeah, I'll just give you an overview of what this particular request involves, and it deals with the 3- and 5-story office zoning districts that we have in the town. There's only 2 properties right now that have those zonings, and they're both on Parkside Drive, the medical plaza and the professional plaza to the east of that building. As you may remember, a couple of years ago, the Duraline had requested an amendment to the aspect of the sign ordinance that deals with wall sign allocations on these type of buildings that have a shared entrance in those 0103 and 015 zoning districts. And but I think their request at the time was an additional wall sign on the north elevation of the building that faces Parkside Drive. And they may still want that, I'm not sure, but I think, as I understand it, the specific request at this time is to not change the allocation on the north elevation. It would still be the 2 wall signs, but then to allow for there to be an opportunity to have a wall sign on the east and west building elevations, the sides of the buildings. I'll put up on the screen some this is kind of what zoom in, hopefully. It's basically what they're allowed currently, and what they're requesting is to not change that allocation, as I understand it. But then on the sides of the building, this is just a hypothetical sign on the left. That's the sign company that did this draw up. But that's what they would want on the 2 side elevations. And obviously representatives are here regarding that request. I met with representatives of IMS a few weeks ago and told them, although I couldn't support the request, but they certainly have a right to, go back through the process. It is a little bit different than what they had last time. And I understand where they're coming from. They're trying to help market the building, and certainly we want to get all the buildings in the town leased. We just see it as on the high-rise professional type buildings as the best identification, the cleanest, is to have the name of the building, like they've done on the medical building to the west. But we certainly understand their position as well, and can appreciate that. We looked at a number of, back in 2012, a number of high-rise office buildings. A few downtown come to mind, and by and large, most of them just have 1 wall sign. Now, there are some examples that the applicants did take of multi-story office buildings. Some of these are a little bit different scenarios because they're properties that front on 2 public streets, which is a different, allocation. But I think what they were trying to demonstrate is that there are other buildings in the town that have wall signs on more than 1 building elevation. But some of the buildings that was included in your packet, and I'll put a few of these up on the screen. That's Brookview Promenade. And this one is out North Shore. Pinnacle. Now that's got the same name. These are of course not in the town. And there's, let's see, trying to get something that's Dallas Springs Medical Business Park building, and all these were in your packets. But still, I would say by and large, most of the high-rise professional buildings that I personally am aware of in this area only have 1 sign on them. particularly if you look downtown, for the most part, you know, they have one sign. One of the things in our land use plan and our strategic plan was to address, you know, undeveloped commercial corridors like Outlet Drive, which could have high-rise office development. And that's a real question for you all in the community as to whether how they want to deal with signage on those really highly visible buildings. They're usually not destinations that you usually know where they're at when you're going to them. So it kind of becomes more of just an advertisement when it's up on these very high visible buildings. And that's something to consider. That's why we feel that for pure wayfinding purposes, just naming the building would be sufficient, and it wouldn't clutter up the building with a lot of signage. But again, we understand their position, and it's absolutely nothing personal. We know where they're coming from, and they're here to speak to that. If you have anything else you want me to put up here, I'd be happy to do that. So that's our position on it.
Okay, so right now in both of those zoning districts, we're allowing signage on the part of the building that fronts a public street, and we've allowed the 2 signs on that same side of the building,
Yes, sir.
but we're not currently allowing more than 2 signs,
Right.
like one on each end of the front side of the
Like,
building.
yeah, on different elevations. That's right. Yeah.
There's
Right.
an exhibit 3. Is this exhibit 3 something that you're wanting? Is that what you're
Exhibit 3. Oh,
Has them all on the front.
what this
Has them
was,
all
I
on the
think what
front.
they were trying to show here was if you had, all the signage on one elevation instead of splitting it up on different yeah.
If,
Well,
if
need
you
to
don't,
come
if
up
you don't
to the
mind,
mic.
please to the microphone.
Just so we can all kind of get on the same page. Okay. One thing, I don't know if y'all remember or not, but before, the way it looked before was actually, we used to have the company Raymond James used to be called Morgan Keegan, and it actually had on the left or the right-hand side as you're looking at it, it had Morgan Keegan / Regions, and unfortunately we don't have a picture of that, what it used to look like. But those were 2 different ones on the right-hand side, and then we had SunCoke or Service Provider Group on the left-hand side. So really, at that time, you had 3 names on there. And I think what we were trying to do by showing that other one, the one with the 4 names across it, is that the owner would rather not do that, because to us, that looks very cluttery. But according to the sign ordinance, and I'm not sure the exact dimension, so you'll have to forgive me, but basically, we could do that according to the sign ordinance, because we can have that amount of signs. If we put them, they would have to be closer together.
Well, you could possibly have 4 physically different signs.
Right.
If the area of the 2 imaginary rectangles.
Equal to a certain amount. And
It
so
wouldn't
that's-
be as big as that.
Right, it wouldn't
could
be. It would be
possibly do that.
smaller
That's
than
right,
that.
yep.
But we'd already had 3 signs on there. So that was kind of our thought, is that we'd rather not clutter up the front as much as to kind of make it simple on all 3 sides. And I think, and Matt can probably speak to this more as to what the leases are looking for, is that yes, it may not be a destination, but they do need it for a visual reminder as to where to turn in or something like that. I know for Duraline, they have a lot of people come in and they are looking for that, and so they can sometimes miss that as they go by. Also, with the way in which leases work, we have a new, Regions just left that area, and so we're looking to lease that bank space. Well, y'all know, as you're trying to find, if you're going down the road and you're trying to find your bank, you need that sign to pop up there. I know as I'm looking for something, as I'm trying to find an ATM for my bank, I need that visual reminder. And the way in which it would work now is that they wouldn't be able to be on the front they wouldn't have any signage as the way it is now according to leases. And it's a complicated thing that I don't really, Matt would be able to tell you more about that. Are you Deborah?
If you-
I'm Polly. I'm sorry. Debbie is not here. She is actually out of town. I'm with IMS. I should have introduced myself. I apologize.
So, and your name is?
Polly Matherly.
Okay.
Um,
Matherly?
Matherly. It's Matherly.
And IMS leases the property, or?
We are the property managers for
Property
it. We're the owner's agent, basically, for the property. And so when we're looking at the signing of it, you know, we're kind of looking at going on the sides of it to allow Duraline to have, and I'll let them get up here and kind of tell their case as to why they want signage. But the one thing we noticed is that, you know, and we did put in the packet, you know, some things that were like on the, the Walgreens one I know is on the corner of Kingston Pike and Level Road. You know, I know that one all together, or maybe that other road down there. But anyways, I know that it's on the corner. But there's a couple others in there that actually do have it facing where they're facing like Parkside. And so that's why we just kind of wanted to bring that to your attention. And it looks okay because really it's almost like a sign frontage with that big of a big building. So I don't know if I helped clear anything else or I made it clear as much.
How many office spaces are in this actual?
The 5-story, which is what we're looking at right now, and I know that you're reviewing all ordinances, we're not really looking at changing the 3-story, just so you all know. That would just, at least right now, that's not something that we're looking at. There's 100,000 square feet. So basically, there's 20,000 square feet per building, per floor. Right now, we have 2 companies in there, but we're trying to attract, as I said, a bank. And we also have 40,000 square feet on the top 2 floors that are empty that we've been trying to lease, and signage is a huge thing. Matt, do you want to speak to any of that? Okay. So do you have more of the questions for me before? Okay.
Okay, Raymond James
Mhm.
Regions, which is what we're looking at, well, what I'm looking at. Are you looking at that? Those are 2 businesses within that building.
Right.
Several businesses.
They were 2 businesses, and their name, not Raymond James, but it used to be called Morgan Keegan, used to be all on the right-hand side altogether.
Okay, and then the sign for the other side of the building is a 3rd business sign?
You would end up having basically probably 4 businesses, and that's all that we would, you know, want to have. And the only reason is not, you can't really do 3 is because it wouldn't even out. If you look at it, you know, I mean, I guess you could do 3, just one on one side. And on the other.
What it is, to try to explain this, on that building, you've got, I don't remember how wide it is, was about 300, I don't remember, but anyway, let's say it's 300 feet wide. You have a total allocated sign area of 300 square feet. And instead of doing what we do on most buildings where it's 1-to-1 ratio and it's one big rectangle, what they did on this building, they amended the ordinance when Partners built this to allow for that 300 square feet to be split up into 2 imaginary rectangles. So if you had 150 square foot rectangle, you can put 6 signs in that rectangle if you want to. However many you can get in there. But it's the 2 rectangles on the different sides of the building that together could not total more than 300 square feet. So you could have 2 that are 150 or any combination thereof, 100 and 200 on one end. But the rendering they showed with the 4 signs, those would be way too big. I mean, you'd have to, the signs would be, but it's true. You could have more, theoretically, you could have 4 or more wall signs on that building as long as they all fit into those 2 imaginary rectangles.
So there's
I
a limit
guess
to the
I'm
number of
wondering, though,
as long-
if you're-
But they would be so small that you couldn't even see them.
But you know what? If you
my
think,
question, though, is
yeah.
how do you decide what 4 businesses get the sign?
Well, that's
as
what
opposed to several that are in the building. Okay.
Yeah, that's Matt's
All
expertise.
right. All right.
Well, that's what I was concerned about, is because, like, what if you have 7 or 8 different businesses there, and then are you gonna come back and, you see, this is an issue that we're going to have earlier, and before this building was, I wasn't on here before this was built, but I wish that we had, because this is opening up a can of worms, I wish we'd have just had professional building A and the ground sign with all of those on it, so
Yeah.
that it would not be an issue, because this is, it doesn't, I mean, the fonts are different, all of this, and it just does, all it is advertising. And I understand, because we had the issue I can't believe it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
We had that one.
It's almost
But,
2 years.
you know, and I can understand if you're taking up 2 floors, you want it to be there. But at the same time, you know, that's something that, I agree. I think you should be there. And if one's leaving, then what's the point? I mean, maybe you should, what's gonna happen when you have all of these, like you said, 15? I mean, you could actually literally have 6 on this side and 6 on this side if the lettering was small enough. But when you start having these large buildings and you have that many people coming, I mean, we're gonna have a big issue. I mean, this to me is.
Yeah, the buildings, just because of their height, are really highly visible, so signage on them is really, really important to think
It
about.
is.
But
It's,
that kind of destroys your,
It- the
your,
look.
you're saying that you want it for location, because then there's other businesses that are in there that you're not gonna be able to find
Exactly.
their location, so that kind of dissolves that.
well, that's why I think the
me.
most wayfinding, from pure wayfinding standpoint, is exactly what Cindy said.
Yeah.
It'd be
Professional building and they have
Parkside
around.
professional building, and then you just tell people that you're in the Parkside professional building, and you have a
Professional
good,
building A or B or C
you have
or
good
whatever.
wayfinding at the pedestrian level and at the vehicular level when you are at the property, so you can easily
So
find
many-
where they're
That's
at.
so much easier to locate the place, but, because I know, I mean, and we are addressing this, and I understand, because as far as advertising, you want to know that, but as far as the building itself, having the professional building A, I wish that that's how it started, because this is
Yeah.
gonna be an issue in the future.
It's like all those entities that are in the First Tennessee Bank building in Gay Street, they all say we're in the First Tennessee Bank
Exactly.
building. There's
That's how
tons
they
of
are,
offices and
and they
lawyers
cannot
and all
put
kinds of people
all
in
their
there.
signs all across.
Or if you go to Park West,
Exactly,
that's,
same way.
When you drive into that area, I've actually never driven up there. Is there space to actually put like a ground mounted sign there? Or
Yeah,
is
it's a
it
little bit
says-
tricky.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
not
is.
really. That's
It would need to
right?
be
Yeah.
redone, to
It
be
could be,
honest
but
with you.
it would be,
I
Yeah,
mean,
the
it
only
looks
thing you could
nice,
do
but
is
it's
do it
not
on
all
the
that
elevation
functional.
Yep.
from the
It's not
street,
gonna look
so
right. I
it's
didn't
not
think it would.
visible.
Yeah.
From the
Well-
street, I don't think that would look.
What 2 signs are on the building now?
it's,
Actually, there's nothing on the building right at the moment. Regents just left, so there's nothing. It's completely blank right now.
wait, Raymond, okay.
But Raymond James-
is-
Raymond James will be going up there.
Yeah.
So you have one
So
spare, and who's going to get that?
Well, according to, Matt, do you want to talk about that, or am I? Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, because Matt's I'm going to save him from having to come up here, Will up here. According to the lease, it will go to the tenants who occupy the 4th and the 5th floor, because that's the way the lease is set up, and,
Not who
you
has
know,
the most, but
who what?
not
That's most
who.
floor space.
Yeah,
Who has the most floor space, and they would have the most floor
Okay.
space.
was that
Yeah.
Duraline?
No, it was Suncoke at one point, and then Service Provider Group. It's complicated, but they
Right.
released out of there, and then, of course, we know what happened to the, yeah. Matt, do you want to come over? I feel like I've done my best I can.
stay right there, we can hear you.
Just talk loud enough for us to hear
Yeah.
you.
You don't have to get up.
Yeah.
Just-
Name's Matt Memphis. I'm with NAI Knoxville, which is a real estate brokerage company, dealing mainly in helping people with a office building, which is commercial real estate, finding tenants for the buildings, or selling buildings. We were on the owner, we sold this building right here back in 2008. Roughly around 25 days. So it's a different ownership now. However, it's still the same group that built it, that was the late group that built it, doing the management of it. We're working with them on the leasing. I've been in the business roughly 28 years, and I've worked in Houston, Miami, up here. Actually, done up here a lot better than some of the places that, operate $2 there. But the thing that we deal with in our business is we constantly see big tenants here with big ones, 25,000 square feet. Here you've got 5 floors with 20,000 square feet on each floor. Right now, we've got the building at 53% leased with Regions having closed down. So we've got a big amount of buildings to be leased. The tenant comes in, and they're taking
Okay. Thank you. Mark, the Raymond James sign that's on the other picture that you had put up, is that what was approved? That white sign, silver?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
So it's 76 square feet then?
Yeah, that's what was approved, yeah.
Okay. The sign that's going to be on the other side of the building, one of the things we've tried to do is keep signage compatible within a, certain area. Would it be compatible? Would it be the same? Same color scheme, same material, same size, general size, and we're after making it appealing, as you've just described, but also being, similar in nature so that it looks pleasing to everyone that goes through.
Yeah, you really,
Well,
yeah, because we're on.
technically, yeah, because we're
That had
we're
kind of
recorded,
a
so.
special circumstance. Sorry.
But that's what the owner really wants. I mean, they don't want to, as Matt said, we have a premium product here, and so the owner really does not want to make anything look junky or anything like that. So the ordinance that we're asking to be changed is so that it can be that it would all be matching and it'd all be the same size and then it'll all be, within that certain range, so.
Well, I have a question. You brought up a point. I'm sorry, I didn't. Logo wise, you said that, no matter what, it would be that color and everything. And we, of course, everybody has a different logo, McDonald's and the yellows and the reds and the greens. What's to keep you, if someone came in and wanted, like McDonald's, say, I want to rent this whole side over here, but I want my colors. Again, what would you do then?
I would, we can get you signed, it is that, you have to be perfect.
My concern of putting it on the ends, and I don't know if you all have talked about this, is just if you put it on the east and west end and you're coming from the opposite direction, because, some days I decide to get off at Level Road and some days I decide to get off at Campbell Station, you're not gonna see it. So you're really only getting 50% of the traffic if you put it on the sides versus smaller signs on the front. And I don't want it to look junky with it cluttered across the front either, but I just think the sides isn't gonna get you as much view as if you had a building name and you reference someone, we're in this building, rather than trying to just fit them on there somewhere.
Yes, First Tennessee Plaza downtown, they've got 100,000 square feet. They actually have 6,000.
Oh, I didn't know that. They,
I was fortunate to jump in this.
so they had to do that in order to get their name actually to be the First Tennessee building that okay. Wow.
Yes, there is a certain amount of corruption, we're here, you see a certain amount of get, you see a certain amount of that. But this is really about helping. I'd say 70, 80% of what is having most of it. It's important to make it
Please?
If you approve this, would you have to restrict the colors? Would you have to say it would have to be consistent with what's already there, or?
Well, you could put that in there. We kind of have that requirement already anyway for a
Okay.
I think we need to.
multiple tenant building,
Okay. Sir?
Hi, I just want to say a couple things. I'm Tim Grimsley. I'm Global Vice President of Duraline Corporation. I handle a lot of the international business that the company does, and just want to explain just a second about a company that's here in Farragut. And when we employ about 70 people here, we have all of the third floor and a little bit more than quarter of the first floor. So we have about 25,000 or so square feet within the building itself. And again, we employ about 70 people. And it's just a very neat company that's been around since the 70s. And this is our global headquarters. We have 11 factories in the U.S., 17 total around the world. We have a lot of international customers that come here pretty consistently on a weekly, monthly basis that travel from everywhere from Malaysia, all over Europe, South America, everywhere into Farragut to come to this office for meetings for projects that we're working on with them. So we have a lot of international visitors that come here, and they're always looking for that Duraline sign is what they're trying to find. I certainly understand about the Plaza ABC. I understand that, but they're looking for that Duraline name that's on there. We don't sell to the public. We're not Walmart or anything like that. We sell to corporations. We're very small. Well, in our industry, we're one of the largest in the world, but I mean, we're just this kind of this neat small company that's based here in Farragut with large factories all around the world, employing thousands of people, again, around the world. And we do get a lot of visitors, and I hear the same thing all the time when they come into town is, I'm trying to find the name, and finally, when you get to the door, there's a little plaque off to the side of the main entrance that says Duraline. Other than that, they don't even know we're in the building. So it has created some frustrations on our side for not being able to have the sign on the building. And again, it's just a really neat international company that's based here in Farragut. And we're pretty proud of who we are and what we do and what we've accomplished all around the world. And we would just, a lot of that name on the building, I'll be honest with you, it's just pride. It's just we're very, very proud of who we are and what we've accomplished, and that's what we want it for more than anything else. It's just for the simple fact that we are just everyone's very, very proud. The majority of the employees at the company have been here for 20 years or more, and it's just a fantastic company to work for. And it's kind of neat to know that you got this big of an international company that's headquartered right just down the road here in Farragut. And like I said, we have a lot of international. We're always traveling overseas, but we have a lot of international guests that come to here to specifically to this office. So.
When we dealt with this 2 years ago, and when that other one left, because we really, at that time you were one of the larger ones that had the building, they said. And, we really felt as though that you needed to be there, but supposedly those others. And when I read on the news that other one left, I'm like, good, they'll get their sign now. And I kept waiting for your sign.
We were kind of hoping that too.
Well, I don't understand why you didn't get it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a leasing issue, and
because you were the largest in that building, so I thought, wow, this is no problem now, because they really should. It's kind of like first come, first served. You're paying it. I think you should have gotten it as soon as that other one left. And I kept looking for your sign, but didn't see it.
Well, we'd love to have it up there on the building. I certainly do agree. If we're on one side of the building, you lose 50%. I mean, our kind of choice is obviously our guests are coming from the airport, back and forth to the airport, though the majority of them stay at the Hampton over by Campbell Station, but the majority are coming from the airport. So, but no, I would agree, we'd much rather be on the front. But at this point, we've been wanting it for so long, been in the building for so long.
Yes, and we were really fighting for you too then. And so when that left, I'm like, good, they'll get their sign.
Yeah, every time I see a sign truck changing, I keep thinking maybe it's our turn finally to have our sign hold up.
I'll put you on the spot. Why did they not get their sign then?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's in Suncoast lease, basically.
Yeah.
So
So-
they have the ultimate, what's the word I'm looking for?
First refusal.
They have the rights to it right now.
They have the actual rights or the first refusal or first. So there again lies another problem.
Okay. Mark, I have a question. Is that road between the financial building and the medical building a public road, or is it
No.
a private drive?
No, it's not.
It's private.
It's a access
So
easement.
basically what it really amounts to is we really cannot do those sides without changing. Am I not correct?
Yeah, you'd have.
So basically now what it amounts to is that we need to do Exhibit 3 or leave it as it is with 2 of who. Am I correct? Exhibit 3 has all 4 of these signs.
Well, yeah, but it's not
And they're
going
gonna
to
be so small.
Yeah, it would be
that
a
you're
lot
not-
smaller.
It's gonna be, you're not even, there's nothing there now, so this is the time to change it.
And Mark, I have a question.
What's
Since
up?
the Raymond James sign well,
It's not, it's not up yet.
been
It's in the process.
approved,
It's been approved.
and it's not up, there's already
Uh-huh.
a size of that sign.
27,
I mean,
yeah.
a height. So in order for it to be compatible, the other signs are gonna have to be the same, around the same height, correct? Because, I mean.
Yeah, I
or
mean,
you
they
could have-
just need to be, like, when I look at that rendering, I don't see that those two signs, although there's obviously a difference in the fonts and the sizes, I still don't think they're inconsistent.
You're talking about
and
exhibit
compatible.
1?
That, what's on the
This one right here?
screen.
But if you tried to fit more up there and Raymond James is
Like
the
it-
only one that's approved right now,
Exhibit
the other
3.
three would be much
Yeah,
smaller
that,
because it's
then
such a
that would
large
look,
sign.
that would look
That would
odd, yeah.
Really
Mhm.
weird.
You'd want it to be reasonably
Right.
comparable in terms of general appearance. I mean, and I think they want that. Now, they've got obviously a multi-million-dollar building. They don't want it to look tacky either.
I wish
and,
that it just were, if you were gonna do, well, again, I wish that we just did because we're getting ready to do another headache a little bit down the road with,
Yeah, we have to think about. We understand where y'all are coming from, and Duraline in particular. I mean,
I figured-
we're certainly glad you're in the town, and you should be proud of your company, and we understand that. We just have to think about also, the broader implications and what this could mean in other parts of the town that may develop these type of buildings. Is it something that the community wants to have on there? And it may be, I don't know, but it's something that we have to think about more than just how it would apply to this particular building. They have there's a different section of the ordinance and that was actually amended. It dealt with them not having a parking lot between their building and Parkside Drive. Is how that,
And it also dealt
and it was a
with
much
size,
smaller, yeah.
yeah,
the
it was a
length of
much
the building,
smaller.
length of the building and,
and the fact that the road does turn around. The road kind of curves around their building.
and your parking is in.
Sort of a different layout all the way
Yeah,
around.
it was basically trying to encourage people to have buildings that are closer to the building instead of a big parking lot with the building way back off the road. So we have that provision in the ordinance that tries to encourage highlighting the building, a nice looking building like J.C. Penney instead of the parking lot. So that's a little bit different. And
In other words, parking lot on the side instead of right in front of the building, so that's the reason that they.
yeah,
that
that
makes
one's,
sense.
and you're right. That's, if you just looked at it, you
think
would
that
say,
would be
gosh,
the-
well, that's kind of what we're wanting. Now that's not in the town. Crew's not in the
Crew.
town. When you basically,
But Belks, our men's belt is us, and then the other.
yeah, the 5-story building is the end of the town. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Duraline, I'm really fighting for you, but I thought you, First Citizen.
First Citizens is on a corner lot. Yeah. Yeah.
First Citizens base.
No,
Oh,
their
oh.
lot goes physically to the corner. Yeah. It's kind of an odd shaped lot, but and that's how they have that, and Walgreens
Oh, I
the
see.
same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty much on all the corner lots. A lot of the Weigels.
That's why they do that, so they can get just,
and stuff like
they
that.
always look for corner lots.
It's just these buildings here, quite frankly, are just because of their scale and their volume, can have more of a visual impact on the community, and the signage is needs to be a little bit more carefully looked at, I think.
That's one that I think is
Yeah.
interesting, that looks
I've got-
nice.
now that's not in
That's not in the
town.
town, but it still looks nice, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
off
what we're
of,
thinking about. It's
Yeah,
Pompano
apparently that's
Road,
allowed.
Oh,
Currently,
yeah.
yes.
The Jacobs buildings.
This one's a hot.
Got that in.
This one right here.
It would have to be redone.
I can give you
Yeah.
this if you'd like it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
let's see.
exactly
Oh,
what
here it is.
What?
There's 3 buildings, there's There's this one and the one next to it, and one behind it.
Oh, wait.
And they're all right
My husband works.
together.
Now, their signs are smaller. I know in the back, one of the buildings in the back, they're only 3 stories, but they're smaller.
And they have the name
My
at
husband
the
actually
front,
works in one of
Jacobs.
them, is why I know. And they actually have competitor signs up there that has been an issue, but there's certain companies that own the building, and then they've allowed the tenants to put it up.
But that's generally, I think, what her point is. That's what they're trying to. That's what kind of what they
They only
want.
have 2 signs, right?
It's got
They only
3
have two.
signs.
They
Is
only
that
have 2 signs,
hard to
though.
tell? It looks like they have
One in the
3.
Yeah, but see, that's what I wanted, just a plain professional A,
I think
instead of Jacobs as yeah. Is that the name of the?
I think that's a company that's in there.
4 different buildings. Is there 4 or 3?
3. I think there's 3.
Okay. So there's 3 of them that they all look the same though. And that's kind of, we're just wanna go for that clean cut look on both sides.
They look very nice. I mean, those 3 buildings and all the signs are pretty similar signs. They do have some color in some of them, but they do look nice, and you can see them from Pellissippi. They're pretty visible signs. I don't know what size they are.
Yeah, you've got Patriot Investments and remember some of the other ones over there.
SSN and
Yeah.
MetLife.
Yeah, they are nice looking buildings. Yeah.
And there are some smaller businesses. I know in the SSN building, there's some smaller businesses in there that don't have signage, but
There's not a place for it.
So what's in front of us now is a request. There's no actual language though written. Is that correct?
No, just as we typically do with something like this, we kind of run by the general concept of what the applicant's after to see, what the feelings are on that concept. And as I explained earlier, the concept I think they're requesting is to allow for a wall sign on the 2 ends of the buildings, if you will, east and west. Similar to this.
Raymond James has been approved, so they're not gonna be happy if you did 4 on the front and divide up each side to where that it is balanced and they would not be happy having smaller sign now that they've already been approved. That would be,
Well, just because they were approved by the town doesn't necessarily mean they're approved. I mean, they have private restrictions,
don't like it.
covenants.
number 1 is, again, I still don't understand why Duraline didn't get theirs.
Would you put Duraline on each side of the building?
No, you'd put, no.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you crafted the ordinance such that you possibly could do that.
Want it on the
Okay.
sides.
So you're only needing one more sign, right?
Right now, but if you
No.
Oh, I see.
And do you know what the linear footage of the building is on the front and the sides?
Yeah, I don't remember either.
on each side or.
Yeah, it probably is.
150.
75 each sign.
Right.
So literally, you could do 75 on each sign, right?
You know, it bothers me that we lost a business because of that. I
What
mean, that
business
you
did
said we
lose?
lost one. And I'm thinking that with empty buildings and the lack of businesses that aren't coming in here, maybe we need to be a little more open about what we're doing with the signs.
I agree with that. I mean, if the ordinance already says that there's signs that can be on the front and we can't change it to where it says, professional building, I agree with you. I mean, my concern is if you put it on the side, yeah, okay, it may not be as much on the front, but it's not gonna be seen. The purpose of the sign
Is for it to be
completely
seen.
loses its I mean, it's not
It's
really
Well,
a,
it's important to that
It's-
business. and
It
it's
would be
important
for you
them.
to
We should-
sell, but it's not gonna help you that much for them to see it on the side.
But
I
it's
mean,
gonna
you know,
help us to
that's-
have that business.
well, that's what I'm
What
saying
I'm
is I think
saying.
it should be on, I mean, I almost would prefer to have smaller signs on the
In the
front.
front than
than
on the sides,
side.
because 50/50,
No, I don't think that four on the front.
Have
would
y'all
be
looked
good
at
all.
seriously redoing the ground sign to where it's something that's really effective and visible? Yeah, you may have to redo that completely. I mean, have you all looked at that?
Looked at a couple options and it's
Just didn't
not
look.
really I mean, like, we've looked at the entrance into it where it says it's nice and it says Parkside Plaza, it says Parkside Plaza One, and it's beautiful. We've looked at putting the names on those, but to be real honest, it, for lack of a better word, it makes it look a little bit tackier than,
I don't,
than putting a big sign on the side would, because it would be kind of junky, we've had so many, because you could look at the Parkside Medical Plaza side, and you'd have,
You may need to go up there if you're going to speak for a while. I'm sorry. I forget myself, but yeah.
well, it's such a small little room.
Well, it's televised. That's
Oh,
why.
great, that's good to know.
really?
So we'd have 12 signs on the rounded portion at the front. And we don't have a picture of it unfortunately, but it's a brick wall. And as you come in, the fountain's in the center and there's two brick walls that are beautiful and they say Parkside Plaza 1 and Parkside Plaza. And so if you put a bunch of names on there, I just think it would look junky. So that's kind of what, and then if you come in, then you've got the beautiful fountain there with all the lovely landscaping that we won an award for last year for having great landscaping, and from the beautification committee or whatever. So we wouldn't want to junk that up. So then you have to turn in to one way or the other. And we do have some smaller signs that say Parkside Plaza 1 and Parkside Plaza 2. But there's not a really great spot to put a sign that kind of shows.
Well,
Does that help? Yeah.
one major problem you have is, there's about 12, 15 feet up above the roadways where the building sits. I mean, it's not like you can put a monument sign out there on the,
Right.
on the road.
Right.
So,
That one, I don't think y'all would like that.
no, I mean, it'd be
Yeah.
impossible. You'd have to
Right.
block the driveway
Right.
or the sidewalk.
Right. Or, I mean, I guess you could put it on the brick wall. We could remove the bushes, but that wouldn't look right either. So, I mean, there's, that's the
Right.
only place you could put it is on that brick wall right there.
Remind-
Exactly where you're talking about.
What is on the professional building now? What does it say on? I don't remember.
Well, it has,
There's
you mean
nothing
on the
right now.
actual building?
Yeah.
On the left-hand side where Regions
Yeah.
is and where Duraline is?
No, the other building.
The other building.
The right-hand side, it says Parkside Medical
Parkside
Plaza.
Medical.
Okay.
yeah.
There's no chance.
There's
So what, I guess what I'm getting at, that is zoned 013,
Yes.
that building.
That's
So the
right.
building we're talking about is 015.
Right.
So the only change you're requesting is in the 015 zoning,
Yes.
not for both buildings?
Right.
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that we
But
weren't
the
talking
thing to
about
think
both.
about is that if that happens, then I could see people in the 3-story, and
That's,
then.
well,
you
that's
know,
where I was heading when you
how do
said
you
there are so
allocate
many
that?
tenants in that building.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
in the small building there is because they're broken down, but I mean, that's the thing is we're not asking for that. We're just the larger building because it's the only one in Farragut, and I know that, whenever the owner originally brought it to Farragut and worked on the revisions and that sort of thing, I mean, I know that it was a lot of work for everybody involved in trying to make sure that it was done correctly and tastefully. And that's what we definitely want to have happen is we still want to keep the Farragut look, and the cleanness of it, but we just gotta, we've gotta get some tenants in here so they can move in and help out the town too.
I have another question for you. Normally, when a tenant rents a space like this, how much square footage would you require in leasing them to lease before you would even talk about a sign on any building in town? As a general rule, 25% of the building, regardless of the size of the building. Okay.
Duraline, how long?
So you're talking about in the case of this building being one floor would be enough to get a sign. Now that's 5 floors, generally.
Mhm.
But in the case of what we're talking about, we wouldn't want to go to 5 signs on the building.
So somebody's gonna be out regardless.
Mm.
Not every tenant gets
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, what does Raymond James have? Half of one floor? Okay.
So what do we need to do to change it? or, I mean, do we, if we're looking at 015 zoning district, what do we need to do?
Well,
Do we need to change the ordinance, or?
you would have to change the ordinance to
Revise
do
it?
something like what is on the screen, and that's what they're requesting. So the question tonight is, if you feel comfortable answering the question, is what do you support in theory the concept of drafting an amendment to the sign ordinance that would accommodate what you see on the screen? That's the question.
So where we are right now then is, if I'm understanding you correctly, in the 015 zoning district, we're looking at in front of us not an actual ordinance change so much as a proposal to initiate a change to the ordinance that would allow 4 signs, meaning 2 on one side of the building, 1 on each of the other end sides of the building, but none on the
That's
the
what their
backside.
request
So
is.
2 on the
So-
front and 1 on each side, basically?
The same
the-
as it is right now on the front, and then allow in addition to that a sign on each of the end.
Specific to this
Elevations.
business, though.
So that's
No.
what's in front of us to
That's
vote
part
on.
of the issue. It's, I mean, you could make it specific to the 015, I guess.
Right. But that's what's in front of us to vote on.
That's what's in front of you.
So that's what we're either voting yes to allow the initiation of an ordinance that would allow for the signage on each end of the
Yeah,
building.
because you all will be making
Or
a
no.
recommendation to the planning commission, which would be the next body to review this request, and then they will do the same thing and look at the concept of it based on your all's recommendation, and then if they feel that it's needs to be amended, then they'll direct the staff to come up with wording and language that, you know, could accommodate that request.
Okay, so what's in front of us now is to vote on whether we want to explore adding to the ordinance 015 the ability for a building to have a sign on both the east and west elevations, in addition to the 2 sign areas that are currently allowed on the front elevation, which is north, I guess, of the building. That's what's in front of us. So is there more discussion on that point from the board at this point?
I would propose that we make the recommendation that they review it to amend,
Okay.
whatever you said, however you said all that, based on the idea that maybe we need to work with the businesses a little bit more to meet their needs as well as ours.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. That'll be, I mean,
That
when
would
we
be
get
a
to the,
motion. And that's
to
just
the
a
vote.
motion for them to review it and
Mhm.
possibly, revise
Okay.
that ordinance.
Right, any further discussion?
What road is on the east side of the building?
There's no road.
There's no road, so
No,
it's
it
not
has a
like
big,
it's
yeah, it does.
facing another road. It's,
No, it's only
okay, on the
facing
west
north.
side, we do have that semi-public.
Yeah, the east side is just a big retaining wall. It's a grade elevation between that property and the property in the city of Knoxville, unfortunately, because we would have liked for there to have been a vehicular and pedestrian connection there. Well, there is a pedestrian on Long Parkside Drive, but there was just a topographic issue there. So there's
Okay.
nothing on the east side, other than just to drive around the building to get to different portions of the parking lot.
Okay.
All right, so to clarify our vote, if you're in favor of pushing this along so that we can explore the option of having the east and west elevations with signage, that would be a yes vote. If we're not in favor of that, that would be a no vote. So,
One sign.
go right ahead.
Okay, on each. 2 in the front,
2 in the front.
1 on each side.
on
And it
each
won't
side.
be like 2 years from now, we'll be back saying we need 4 in the front and 2 on the sides.
All right.
Do we have that recorded?
All right, well, if there's no further discussion, so those in favor of moving this to the next phase, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so it moves to the next step. Mhm.
Thanks.
Okay, so we need to move back and hit our ground-mounted signs applications. The first sign that we have on the agenda for this is the Goddard School. And I think that we have, give Mark just a second here.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. All right, so our first sign tonight for ground-mounted application is Goddard School. Looks like a replacement of the sign that's already there.
For the Goddard,
Goddard School, yes.
nobody's here for that one.
I don't think anybody's here for the rest.
So,
No.
I have a question. She had said that is this like an official logo? Because they could actually take out the 4, but she said she thought all of them were that way. If to get this larger, could they not have taken out the 4 and put early childhood development?
Well,
And-
I asked the sign maker, now again, this is just the person that's making the sign, but he said that is what they use on their cards, and that's
Okay, so
their
4 early
new
is-
design
okay.
and everything. Because if that was on Kingston Pike, I couldn't support
Right.
that. It's on Loudon Road, you
Oh,
can't see
right.
it from Kingston Pike. It's the traffic speed there is extremely slow.
I believe that was a conversation we had when the sign originally went
Yep,
up,
yep.
and we allowed
Sure did.
that smaller language because of that reason.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious about why the phone
I
number.
was just about to ask
know.
that, why it's not an 865.
I don't know, yeah.
Oh, I meant that too, because it's a different.
I just,
That's
I had
strange.
that on my too. I'm like, wait a minute, why have
Yeah.
they changed it to 817?
it's more of a, would have been more of a clarification question on airport as to
966.
Well,
to
it-
whether they intended that or not.
So there's not going to be an outline like the bottom one, because I'm thinking the way that the sign is now, it's kind of visually appealing with the top of it. And so
Yeah.
it would just
Yep.
be more, I mean, it kind of adds that.
So it'd be a rectangular is what you're
It'd
saying
just
instead
be
of
a
having
square, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like the
or rectangle.
I like
variety at
Yeah,
the top
too.
there, really. And that could be something that could be recommended for this particular.
I think Chesney
looks better with the other.
Dentistry though outshines it. I mean, it
Mhm.
overwhelms it and looks.
It's more
My eye
legible.
goes to the dentistry side.
It's
Much
more
more
legible, and it also has a white
It has a white
background,
background
which
and
helps
lines, and it
the
goes to
lettering
that-
come out,
Right.
stand out
If it
better.
were reversed, you would be able to see it better.
Okay,
White
so it's
background
going to be
and
more like the dentistry sign then.
Right.
White background, dark blue.
Yes,
Okay.
most of it will be a white
It
background.
will be better.
It's white and blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it really will.
Yeah.
But Mark,
Really.
the telephone number, it's just a mistake, or is it that is this, I mean, the 966-0663, and then this one's 817?
Yeah, I don't know. I can
Ask them
ask
about
him that.
just- I mean, it's no big deal, but,
If it's wrong, it's.
I'm
a
like,
big
it's
deal.
okay.
Yeah.
I had it circled and I knocked out the 4.
That
and-
would be expensive. to change.
It'd be a big deal for them if it was the wrong number.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a big deal for them.
Have to call long distance.
That's right.
Yeah, that does seem a little odd to have to call long distance,
Mhm, I do
but,
too. I like, it'll look a lot better.
Yeah.
all right, any further discussion on Goddard School? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Is that Loudon really spelled L?
I'll second it.
Yeah, it is. I don't
It
know
is.
why, but it is. Yeah.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Marathon Oil Service Station, formerly BP, on Kingston Pike.
Is that big station that's been empty for so long on the?
It's not. empty.
Well,
I don't think it's
not
empty.
It's BP, it was BP and now they switched it.
It's right next to the big orange dinosaur.
Yeah, that's how I always
Oh.
do it.
Sarguni Golf.
It's not the one I have in mind.
What's the best score you have?
Right on.
Yeah, it's just east of the Sarguni's dinosaur. So
All right. It's not, I'm thinking.
that shows the full package, basically what they're
Yeah.
going to, from the BP to the marathon, which BP's changing out a lot of those to
They
marathon.
sold out. BP just sold
And the only one that we're looking at
No, BP.
is basically just changing the panels out of the existing sign. It complies.
out. Yep, it's just, it
I mean, everything
The,
is basically the same height
yes.
that it was
Everything is-
before.
It's all the same size.
Same size.
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
All right. Well, all in favor of that one, or we need a motion, I guess, to approve first.
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
All right, and a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Costco. So they've come back now for their gasoline ground-mounted
Let
sign.
it
Yeah.
go. Let it lapse.
Yep, they let it lapse. So,
Hey.
have they changed anything on it?
no.
Okay.
Well, other than that, they are definitely going to non-illuminated. So
one-
remember back
what?
when this was,
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
there was a question about illuminating it, but I'm told that they're not going to illuminate it, so it,
Will there be any external lighting at all?
no,
No lighting at all.
non-illuminated.
Okay.
Where are they gonna put it?
On the level.
I
It's,
get my gas there and I never know how much I'm paying till I'm actually at the
Yeah, it's going to be a long level road.
it's a long
glad I
level
was-
road,
So,
that's the site plan for it. Of course, level road is, over here.
Yeah.
The control center's there.
Yeah.
The sign will be there along by level. It will be to the north of the access into Costco there, the northernmost access, well, the only access into Costco off of Level Road will just be to the north of that.
Yeah.
They're cheaper even.
They had to go through their corporate to get it approved because they don't have many monument signs throughout the country,
A little bit.
maybe only a couple. And so it took a good while for them to get the approvals from their end to do something like this. And
okay.
so that's what they're requesting.
All right, so at this point, it's the same sign we've already approved, so we just need to
Yes.
formally approve it again. So, do I have a motion to approve the Costco sign? I'll motion to approve. Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, that completes our agenda for March. One question before we leave, Mark, do you anticipate a Monday night meeting next month? or
No,
will
we
going
should be
to
back
Tuesday?
on the Tuesday.
These actions.
Do you?
So we're back to Tuesday, though.
My life.
Yeah, so Monday's preferable.
No.
Well, I had planned on
I'm back
Tuesday
to
getting back.
Tuesday. I'm back to Tuesday.
I have
Tuesday.
a question about the Hallmark. What the Hallmark sign? I mean, what was the, what was the final?
I don't know, I
Oh, the
conveyed
rare
that
coins.
to them.
Hallmark rare coins.
Yes, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking of the gift
The
cards.
gift cards, sorry.
I gave them our recommendations, and I haven't heard back, so I'm not really sure what's going on, what they
And-
wanted to do.
and I just want to make a comment about the sign thing. You weren't here, but 2 years ago, I mean, remember this, that they had supposedly, they were going to, if that other one was empty, they were going to take that spot. So a lot of times it has to do with, it's not that we're not really friendly, it's more that they really should have that, the other company.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're wanting us to kind of pay the price for, that's why I wanted to ask that question, was because Duraline should have had that.
But I mean, the point is, they don't have it, so I think
Yeah,
we should
but